beautiful mild spring here in central Kentucky. At the beginning of the year, I made some goals and plans for what I wanted to do with our fixer-upper 1870s farmhouse this year. And my I've kind of coalesced around is sort of like a big project with many parts, and I'm calling it Operation First Impressions. So this is our front porch here, and ever since we've moved in, we haven't the landscaping in the yard here is really overgrown. There's a lot of beautiful ornamental plants and things, but it is really overgrown. And so I decided that even though I'm not a gardener at all, but I'm going to at least try to take care of the landscaping in the front. So here's what we have now. And so in this video, I'm just going to share with you how I got started working on this front area, which is really rough and hasn't been taken care of for years. And I'm not a gardener at all, but I'm just learning as I go. And I hope that some of you can relate to that. Just not really knowing what you're doing, but wanting things to look nice. And like, I'm willing to do a little bit. I think I don't want to go too overboard though, not that I would, because it's actually my real passion, at least so far, is inside the house, and we've focused so hard on doing the inside of our house. But the time has come in this mild and moderate spring. I just want to do a little tiny bit of sprucing up out here. So I'm going to just share with you my process for doing that that I'm learning, and I would welcome any advice, and I would also welcome like commiseration if you're one of those people like me who just feels like gardening's a little bit outside of the comfort zone and you're just trying to step into it for the first time. So we're going to do that today. And then also, my dining room chairs are falling apart. They're my great grandmother's chairs and they need some repair. But I recently got a quote. I'm still looking around, but I got quoted $500 to $1,000 per chair just to do some sort of basic shoring up and structural repairs. And so I'm going to set those aside for now. And I found some chairs on Facebook Marketplace, $60 for 6 chairs, and they have metal frames. And I'm going to show you how I made those over so that we have some dining room chairs that are not falling apart and breaking. I do really love a good furniture makeover, and I love getting things on Facebook Marketplace. So as much as I love my great grandmother's chairs, I don't know if getting them restored is really in the cards right now, especially considering how much stuff you can get out on Facebook Marketplace. So we'll see. So I'm just going to share that with you today, and let's get into it. So we have these beautiful, I think they're beautiful. They're yucca plants, and they're very old and huge. You can see here, there's about 3 of them on either side of our front porch, and we also have them all over the yard. I started wondering why, so I actually Googled like Victorian gardening, Victorian landscaping, and right away I found this really interesting story about how the hardy yucca was really promoted as like a ornamental landscaping plant in the Victorian era, and I'm sure that that's what they're left over from at our house. They're very, very hard to uproot because they have a really deep taproot that goes down like 10 feet or so, but I actually like the way they look. I think they look a little bit like little tiny palm trees or something, but I just want to clean up the bottom because the bottom leaves die and they need to be pulled out or trimmed just to kind of tidy it up, and all the dead leaves from several seasons are stuck in there. So I'm working on tidying that up today. And then I also want to plant some more yuccas. There's some little baby ones that I've dug out. I'm thinking of lining the front porch just with yuccas all the way around. But first I need to dig up this soil and pull out all these leaves. So I'm just working on that today. When I started this project, I thought that I could probably clean up this front area and paint all 6 chairs in one day. I am what's known as in time optimistic. I read some people are time optimistic, and That's definitely me. This project is, I'm still not done with it, and just cleaning out the front of these plants took several days, and then the chairs took several more days, just here and there, because I also have my kids are off school for the summer and we're doing fun things, and we've got family in town. But even that being said, you get tired, and there's only so long you can work on a project on a given day. So I'm trying to dial back my time optimism, and I'm trying to just relax and enjoy this process of cleaning up my front yard. I mean, it's waited, or not even my front yard, it is the front porch area. It's waited this long. It can wait a little while longer. Do any of you ever feel that way? Like when you finally do start a project that you've put off for a long time, you get so impatient. Like I'm also working on our towel collection, which I'm looking forward to sharing with you in a future video. Our towel collection is so old and tired and sad, and we need new towels. 10, 15 years into your marriage, I think you definitely need new towels. And I've been looking and shopping and I got a box from Amazon today, and before I sat down to record this, I was looking at all the towels, and I was hoping that it would be the solution right away, and I was swapping them in the bathroom and looking at the colors and trying to decide if I liked them or not. And there's this part of me that's just like, they're good enough, that's fine. I'm really impatient and just want to like get the new thing and get it done and get it over with. But then I'm like, no, I'm going to stop, and if it's not absolutely what I really love, like if it doesn't spark joy, then I'm not going to keep it. So there was one color of hand towel that I got, and immediately I was like, I love that. I love it. I love how it looks, everything. And then the other things in the box, I didn't feel that way about. And I'm not going to talk myself into feeling that way or trying to, because I know it's not going to work. So they are going to go back, and I'm going to keep working until I find what sparks joy. And I'm trying to take the same approach with the front of the house. I'm just going to be slow. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a gardener. I'm not a landscaper, but I can pull the weeds out and I can think about it. And we're just going to slowly and patiently work until we get the front porch that sparks joy in our lives. I weeded out this front area, and then I sort of vaguely knew that I needed to turn over the soil to prep it for new plants. Right now I'm still planning to just plant some little baby yuccas in here to fill in, so it's all yucca here. So I started to dig. You can see me here kind of half-heartedly. And then I had the most unexpected and wonderful surprise. We have family visiting in town, and they stopped by, and my sister-in-law she says she's a beginner gardener. She's a master gardener, and she helped me for an entire afternoon, and she dug up and turned over and aerated this entire front area here, and showed me how to kill roots with 18% vinegar, because we have a lot of old daylily roots in here, or tree roots, we're not really sure what. And she showed me how to just sort of sift them out, and she made it look so easy. And it was so great, because I didn't know either that I needed to dig down about 6 feet and turn the dirt over. So we worked on that together, and that was such a huge help in this project. Unfortunately, I didn't film it because, it was family time. It wasn't time to be filming or anything like that. But I'm so glad that she came. This part in front is really gravelly and gets a lot of sun. So we planted the 2 lavender plants that I bought at the garden center earlier in the week, and then planted some baby yuccas in this bare bed that my sister-in-law and I dug up, that she helped me dig up. And I'm really happy with the lavender. I've always wanted lavender plants, so we put one on either side, and the soil there is really rocky, and I discovered there was a whole flagstone on either side of this front step that had been covered with dirt, so we scraped that away, and I'm going to be looking for some tall pots to put there and like put something decorative in. I bet that's what they had back in the day, and I hope the lavender does well there. And then I still need to turn over this bed. I did that a different day. Here it is in its current state. I got to turn it over a couple evenings ago. It was really fun. My daughters helped me, and then we planted some little baby yuccas, and this lily plant that I have, it wasn't doing too well, and so I dug up the bulb and put it in there, and I hope that it comes back to life. We discovered that this brick, I don't know what you call it, border. So each side had a brick border, and we dug that out of the dirt. And then each side has this really pretty flagstone on either side of the steps. So I'm really excited to get a pot to put there, a tall, like urn type pot. And then there's a lavender on either side. And then my sister-in-law came over and surprised me with a little hydrangea that she had found and picked up from Facebook Marketplace. And so we planted it right away, so I might have some hydrangea bushes along with the yucca. I'm not, totally sure about what our plans are going to be, but I love hydrangeas, so I might be looking for some more. Then we were over at my other sister-in-law's, and she was showing me, I could take a snip from some of her hydrangeas and root them. So she's really got me inspired. It's so nice when someone who knows what they're doing can kind of just guide you, take you by the hand. My rose bush put out its first rose today, and I also dug along the sides here. This was just grass up to the edge, but I put 4 little rosemary plants here. I love rosemary as for cooking, and we've had a plant before, but they tend to die in the winter, and we haven't had one in a few years. So rosemary hates being watered, and it hates soil, rich soil apparently. Our soil here is actually pretty good, but it seems like that would make it a great plant for a beginning gardener because I might forget to water it. Anyway, we're going to see how it does over here. I didn't even have to put any potting soil or anything, and I'm really excited. I hope some of them survive. This is the beginning of my project First Impressions with my landscaping. It is by no means finished. It's a total work in progress, but I'm so excited to just have even begun, and I'm so grateful that I got the advice of a master gardener who came over and helped me. It's so wonderful to do things with other women. It's just so great, and I don't get to do it nearly often enough. We all live so separate from each other, so I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. Sometimes I think it'd be so great if we could all get together and help each other way more often than we do. I don't know if you live or in a circumstance where people are kind of in and out and in that kind of relationship, but I think that it can be a really, really great thing. Oh, I wanted to share with you, we got a new chair in the living room. This chair was made for the local priest in our parish, maybe in the 1870s. We're not really sure, but a neighbor of ours had it and wanted to give it to us. It's a beautiful chair, and so I wanted to give it pride of place in our living room, and I thought of Colfax and Fowler and putting the harder wooden chairs up by the fireplace, because people will want to sit there and they won't feel uncomfortable because they're in the focal point and kind of the heart of the conversation. So even if the chair isn't super plushy or anything, it's there. And I love how it looks in our house. It's so period appropriate, of course, and it's absolutely beautifully made. It must have been handmade by someone who lived right around here, I'm quite sure. So I just wanted to share our new addition with you all. These are the chairs I got on Facebook Marketplace. It was $60 for 6 of them, and they've got metal frames, and I love the shape. They look like the French cafe chairs to me. They look like the chairs in the Vincent van Gogh painting I have in my kitchen, but I did want to paint them, much to my boys' chagrin. They really don't care for my painted furniture, but they put up with it. I do love painted furniture very much, and I've had this gallon of paint. I looked at the label since 2021. It's Parisian Patina, which is a Sherwin-Williams color, and I have it in dead flat. and I have painted a lot of things with it. I love this color. It's supposed to look like oxidized copper, and looking around my house, I noticed that I do love copper and I do love oxidized copper, and I don't know if it's because I am also a redhead, but those colors are very complementary to red hair, and I guess my hair is copper color as well. So I dug this can of paint out of the basement. It's getting pretty thick, so I added some water to it. And then I wasn't sure if I was going to paint the whole chair or leave the metal bare, but I'll show you what I ended up doing. This giant lantern that I thrifted recently was my inspiration. I thought, oh, I want the chairs to look like that. Sort of, coppery and green, and the metal. I even got out my rub and buff that I have in copper, but it was so close to the actual metal that's on these chairs, and you can't really see it in the video, but there's a little bit of a sparkle to the metal that I thought, okay, well, these are kind of like a dark copper, let's say. I mean, I know they're not really. And then we're going to I don't know, just sort of act like the chairs have oxidized. So I kept the lantern next to me to kind of help get the inspiration started as I started painting. And I painted the first couple of chairs really slowly while I sort of thought about how I wanted them to look. And then once I knew and how it was going to go, I was able to paint the next six much more, or the next four much more quickly for my set of six. I started painting furniture 13 years ago. Wow. When my firstborn was a baby, and I stumbled upon Miss Mustard Seed's blog, and she really inspired me. And she was like one of the very first home bloggers. I used to wait for her weekly post to come out, and I just loved her. And she had so much wonderful advice about getting started painting furniture. And I found out about Annie Sloan. I'm not sure if from her or from someone else, but anyway, I've been painting furniture for a long time, and it is a really enjoyable hobby, and it's a great way to get the look that you want in your house for so much less. I think it might be my favorite thing to do. Since then, it was like my entree into the DIY world. And then when we moved into this house, I did not know how to paint a wall or a ceiling or anything. This house has taught me so much about decoration and DIY, and I just adore my house, and I feel really grateful to it because it's really stretched me and encouraged me to be creative in ways that I never thought that I could, just kind of out of love for the house. Bunny Williams has a book called For an Affair with a House, and I haven't actually read it. It's about her interior decoration and design of a beautiful home she owns with her husband, who's an antiques dealer in Connecticut. But I always see the title, and one of these days I'll get around to reading it. I just smile to myself because I think, yeah, you do. I mean, you can really fall in love with these places, and they just become so special. So do any of you are you in love with your house? Or, this is the first house that I've ever lived in. Well, except my childhood home, I felt similarly about, I guess, where I just, it was a really important and special and magical place. And the place itself meant a lot. And part of that had to do with the age of the home. I grew up in a house that was about 100 years old. And now the house we live in now is 250 years old. Depending on which part of it you're looking at. And that means a lot. There's something about thinking about all the people who've worked on the house, all the people who've lived in the house, all of the things this house has been standing for. This year when we were doing homeschool with my kids, we had an art piece that we would look at each week, and I would read a little biography of the painter. And a lot of the ones we were looking at, the painter was born in the 1870s or 1900 or something. And I always say, so see, when this painter was a baby, our house was brand new. Or this house was 10 years old when this guy painted this painting. And it's so interesting to think about things like that. The first furniture I painted 13 years ago, I was really hesitant and careful. And I mean, I'm still very careful when I paint, but I've gotten much more confident now. Like, I'm perfectly happy to paint with this flat acrylic from Sherwin-Williams instead of buying the Annie Sloan chalk paint always, which I do love her paint. But I've just gotten more flexible with the materials that I'll use, and and I know more what I like, and it's fun. It's fun to look back and at where I started and think how much better I am with the paintbrush now, and I'm more confident with the paintbrushes I have too, and I've learned what I like and what I don't like. I really like pretty brushes a lot. They're my favorite, and I'm a mom and I'm busy, and I used to just have to rinse my brushes out every time I got interrupted or something, and I have learned that you can wrap your brushes in plastic wrap and stick them in the refrigerator, and that way when you have your little increments, when you have time to do a creative project, you can just put it away really quickly if a duty calls and you have to be elsewhere, you have to hop up and start dinner. These are the kind of projects I tend to do when I lose all track of time, and then before I know it, it's time to start dinner. Time goes so fast when you're doing these creative, fun things. So I guess if you're interested, if you haven't ever painted furniture before, just know that if you want to use an acrylic, which the main reason you would is because they're cheaper than buying the specialty chalk paints, just buy it in a flat. And there's also ways that you can mix in plaster of Paris and make it into a chalk paint yourself, DIY. I've done that before and been really happy with it. I didn't actually do that with these chairs. I just used the flat paint. And really, pretty brushes are wonderful. They're more expensive, but it's really worth it, and they will last a really, really long time. But if all you can do is like a paintbrush from the Dollar Tree, then, or the dollar store, Dollar General, or the cheapest one at Walmart, then don't let that stop you, because you can still get really, really good results. And like any hobby, I have found that it's a good idea to get into it cheaply, so there's not so much pressure on yourself. That's how I started with photography, and that's how I started with sewing, was just to do the minimum. And then as you get more experience, you will just naturally and intuitively start to pick out things that you like and know what you like, and know what's a good idea to spend a little more on, and what you can skimp on to fit it into your budget. But just start out really small, and it will quickly snowball into something really fun and really rewarding. In the end, I painted the entire chair with the Parisian patina, and then I just wiped a little bit of the paint off of the metal with a damp rag, just to give it a little bit of a distressed look and to see a little bit of the metal. And I was pretty pleased with that, and this is gonna work really well for us in our dining room. And I actually sealed the chairs with wax. I actually used floor wax because I was out of furniture wax. That's something you don't have to do if you paint furniture. If you use chalk paint, you really do, but since I was using just regular acrylic, you don't have to wax your furniture. But I thought it would just seal it up a little bit, since we're going to be using them in the dining room, and they have to be very hard wearing for the kids, and just all the wear and tear. So I did go ahead and wax them, and I guess I forgot to film myself rubbing the wax on the chairs, but it's a very satisfying process. It's kind of like rubbing them with butter or something, and then they have this nice silky feel now, and I really like how they look in our dining room. We are coming closer and closer to a plan for taking this wallpaper down and putting up interesting painted. We have a really exciting idea. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it this year. I wish we could, but we have so many other projects. I don't know, but my husband and I are really excited about what we've been planning. So I moved the chairs in here. Like I mentioned, we've got family in town this week, and they're not staying with us, but I just want to be ready for anything. So I love to steam my tablecloths once instead of ironing them, because I find them really unmanageable on the ironing board, and you can see them on the table and just kind of steam them, and it's great. Doing the tablecloth falling all over the floor and battling it with the ironing board, and I think it gets really, really nice and crisp too, like crisper with the steamer on here. So I'm really pleased with how these chairs turned out. I think they look kind of like, French cafe, and I love that. And for some reason, I've always felt with this room, I wanted to decorate it in a really Swedish country way. And I think it's because my great grandmother's chairs, which you can see there behind with the rounded backs, that's like a reproduction of a Swedish style of chair from neoclassical period, and I just have that in my head. And then I painted them in Annie Sloan's Swedish blue, Svenska blue chalk paint, and so that's kind of the direction we're going in this room, I guess, is like a Swedish direction. Even though now we've added these French chairs, but we did need some more chairs for all of our guests, and maybe we'll be able to get our Swedish heirloom chairs repaired, and maybe we won't. We will just have to wait and see. But in the meantime, I'm really pleased with these Facebook Marketplace finds with the Parisian patina paint and my steam tablecloths, and we are ready for whatever guests come our way. So thanks so much for spending time with me gardening and learning about gardening and chatting about painted furniture, one of my favorite all-time hobbies. It was time for me to start dinner, so I popped into the kitchen and I'm making these Korean beef bowls, which is one of our favorite things. It cooks up really fast. It's just ground beef with like toasted sesame oil and some other spices and some carrots, and then you can eat it with a side of rice. And I roasted some more carrots and bell peppers, and we had a delicious meal. It's a perennial hit at our house. So let me know in the comments. I would love to know about your painted furniture. I'd love to hear about your gardening. I hope I've inspired you with my own baby steps in that direction to do some yourself. Or I know a lot of you are probably way more advanced than I am. So look forward to chatting with all of you in the comments. And I'm going to get back to making my Korean beef. And I hope that you all have a wonderful week. And I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye for now.